The bigoted, homophobic Republican Party is rearing its ugly head like never before. Republican New York gubernatorial candidate Carl Paladino thinks your kids are going to be brainwashed by a gay agenda. Here are his prepared remarks to a group of Hasidic Jewish leaders in Brooklyn.
I just think my children and your children will be much better off and much more successful getting married and raising a family. And I don't want them to be brainwashed into thinking that homosexuality is an equally valid or successful option. It isn't.
Better off? Successful? Who's the judge of that, Mr. Paladino? Paladino thinks God made everybody straight and kids get brainwashed into homosexuality. Paladino continued his psycho talk this morning on the Today Show. This is how he described what he saw at a gay pride parade.
Young children should not be exposed to that at a young age. They don't understand, and it's a very difficult thing. And exposing them to homosexuality, especially at a gay pride parade, and I don't know if you've ever been to one, but they wear these little Speedos and they grind against each other, and it's just a terrible thing.
Ignorance and hate drips off this guy. He is very angry. Paladino made these ugly comments the same weekend New Yorkers learned about a gang in the Bronx brutalizing and torturing a young gay man and two others. The National Gay and Lesbian Task Force slammed Paladino's comments as hurtful and dangerous in a time when anti-lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender violence has risen in New York City. Paladino isn't a random lone nut. I think he's smack dab in the mainstream of the Republican Party. Paladino's conspiracy theories about gay people and kids flat out mirror and parallel that of South Carolina Senator Jim DeMint's proposal to ban gay people from teaching in public schools. The level of bigotry in the Republican Party has reduced homosexuals, I guess you could say, to second-class citizens in a second-class society. Let's see, they can't get married. They can't serve openly in the military. And in most states, gay people can't adopt kids. It's the social rights issue of our time, and the Republicans continue to sit on the sidelines. The level of dangerous anti-gay hate in this country is out of control, and the Republican Party is adding fuel to the fire when guys like DeMint and Paladino try to scare you that a homosexual is trying to brainwash your kid. That reckless rhetoric and cheap political gain can lead to what we saw in the Bronx or the tragic suicide of a young gay man in New Jersey recently. Gay people should never have to walk around with targets on their backs. The Republicans, they see it differently, and I think that they need to join the rest of us in the 21st century when it comes to inclusiveness and understanding that all men, Mr. Paladino, are created equal in the eyes of the Lord. In case you missed that big rally on August 28th. Get your cell phones out. I want to know what you think about this, folks. Tonight's text survey question is, would you vote for a politician who has made homophobic statements? Text A for yes, text B for no to 622-639. We'll bring you the results later on in the show. Joining me now is Christopher Barron, the chairman of GOProud. GOProud represents gay conservatives and is committed to a conservative agenda. Chris, good to have you with us tonight. How conflicted are you by what you're hearing, not only from Mr. Paladino, but from Jim DeMint?
Look, I mean, we've been outspoken against what Senator DeMint said and outspoken against what Carl Paladino said. I mean, look, let's be honest here. Carl Paladino has all the moral authority of John Edwards. Carl Paladino shouldn't be, leveling judgment against anyone. Absolutely no one. And he should remember why he won the Republican Party's nomination. It wasn't running around talking about crazy social issues. He won the Republican Party's nomination because he was talking about, changing the way that New York State government worked, talking about lowering people's taxes. Well, that's all changed.
Now look what you've got on your hands here. I mean, this guy is a bona fide discriminator, is he not?
What he is he's Alan Keyes. And that's where his campaign is headed. Look, he's running a perfect campaign to get 25% of the vote. He's an embarrassment. And if he's going to act like a buffoon, he should be treated by the party and by the conservative movement as a buffoon.
So, Mr. Barron, where does this take you and conservatives with the Republican Party? Jim DeMint swings a big stick with the Republicans. He has a lot of weight in the caucus. He has also supported a lot of, in my opinion, nut job candidates. And now, of course, Mr. Paladino seems to be coming from the same fraternity. Where's the Republican Party, in your opinion?
For 2 years, the Tea Party and the conservative movement has been laser focused on economic issues, talking about the size of government, taxes, the scope of government, and now at the last minute, social conservatives are trying to grab defeat from the jaws of victory. The Tea Party is a grassroots movement. Carl Paladino doesn't control the Tea Party movement. Jim DeMint doesn't control the Tea Party movement.
I don't hear anybody in the Republican Party telling him to shut up.
Is there anybody in the Republican Party who's paying attention to Carl Paladino at all? Is there, look, I said last night when I got asked about it that these comments would be a lot more disconcerting to me if they came from a legitimate, political figure, but they don't.
Okay.
They come from a man whose campaign is imploding.
You mean to tell me the governor of New York, and he could potentially be that, is not a legitimate figure? I would beg to differ on that one, respectfully, Mr. Barron.
And my dog has a better chance of getting elected governor than Carl Paladino does.
I'm not so sure about that. It ain't over till the fat lady sings. No offense, but the fact is,
she's singing this morning.
He's got a lot of money, and the polling is a heck of a lot tighter than what people thought it was going to be. But doesn't this bring you to somewhat of a crossroads? What's more important, human rights and human dignity, or lower taxes?
Ed, this isn't about taxes. This is about, a lot of gay people, myself included, are part of what we think of as the Leave Me Alone coalition, that we want the government out of our lives. The government isn't always the answer, Ed. In fact, often the government is the problem. And that's why there have been so many gay people. I would agree with you. If he gets elected,
he would be a big problem to a lot of people, the way he wants to discriminate against some.
Well, look, I think that one of the reasons why there have been a lot of gay people who've been attracted to the Tea Party movement is because of its message about limiting the size and scope of government. Okay. And when people like Carl Paladino run down these rabbit holes and start talking about crazy, divisive social issues, they are damaging the Republican Party, they're damaging the conservative movement, and they're damaging the Tea Party movement.
I think their silence is deafening, no question about it. Great to have you with us, Christopher Barron. I appreciate your time tonight. For more on this issue, let's bring in gay rights activist Mike Rogers with us, blogactive.com. Mike, good to have you with us tonight. What do you make of all of this? I mean, doesn't this sink the Republican Party to a new low? He's on their ballot. He is going to have an R next to his name on the ballot. What do you think?
Well, I think it's actually indicative, Ed, of course, what many of these candidates have felt throughout the years. And I actually commend my friend Chris Barron for being consistent all of these years, stepping in and willing to throw Republicans under the bus here and there when it doesn't meet their agenda. But the bottom line is we know it's rampant throughout the party. Every single Republican senator said we are not going to allow gays to serve openly in the military. So we know really what their party is coming from. We really know what they're claiming. And then we actually see them in action. And people like Chris Barron and those right-wing gay people, there aren't that many of them. I can assure you, I work in the community. There's merely a handful. I've met 2 people who are members of the gay community who say they're members of the Tea Party. And I think that Chris knows a lot better. In fact, this is the first public statement I've heard from Chris on anything political in a few years. So we know where the gay Republicans stand. They're shunned by the party, and their party shuns equal rights.
Mike, as a gay man, as an activist and politically active, what is your response to Mr. Paladino, who says that they want to brainwash your kids?
Well, Mr. Paladino has clearly been gripped by old talking points of the very people who he's hoping elect him, because he knows if he puts down his ideas that he's tried to run on, he'll go nowhere. So he starts to grasp at these crazy ideas, and there's nothing to make of it is that he's another politician saying what he thinks he will hope to get elected. But there are real ramifications, and we saw what happened in the Bronx. We see what happens with the youth suicides that you mentioned earlier, that when politicians and leaders say things like this, they have an effect on people because they are seen as leaders. And Chris can say what he wants, but Carl Paladino is the de facto leader of the Republican Party in the state of New York. And when Carl Paladino says things like that, he's putting the lives of lesbian, gay, bi, and trans people at risk. It's not only at risk, but we're losing them.
It's a serious issue, no doubt. Now, for the political reaction to this, would this motivate the gay and lesbian community to be more active politically? Would this draw more people out to vote, in your opinion?
I do think so. I think that, there's been some questioning about how supportive the candidates and the president have been of gay rights, but I think that what this does is it draws a very clear line in the sand. We have a choice on November 4th or the election day. November 2nd, and we have an opportunity to either stick with the team that has tried to move our agenda forward and to bring about equality, or to jump ship and go over to really the greed boat that Chris Barron is in, because for him it's about taxes, taxes, taxes. He'll say it's about the Tea Party, but the Tea Party, they say, is about taxes. So I think the gay community knows where they'll be standing on Election Day.
From blogactive.com, Mike Rogers, good to have you with us tonight. Thanks so much, Mike.